This broadcast is a Stephen K. Media production.
The success of the small business person is the cornerstone of the American economy. Welcome to the Small Business Today Show with your hosts, Hughes and Hughes. The Small Business Today Show is for and about small business advancement and development. What we do for you. We'll be taking your calls as we provide you small business intelligence and mentorship needed to grow your business creatively. Keep listening. The Small Business Today Show with Cruz and Hughes starts now.
Hello and welcome back to today's episode of Small Business Today with Cruz and Hughes right here on Blog Talk Radio, where we discuss the topics that inspires entrepreneurs from thought to action. We broadcast live every day, Monday through Friday, from 5 p.m. Central Standard Time to 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. We appreciate your calls, comments, questions. If you want to join the conversation, feel free to do so. You can pick up the phone and dial us at 347-857-3958. Again, that number here to the studio is 347-857-3958. Now, if you are tuned in live today at cruzandhughes.com and you're watching this via the Ustream broadcast that we also do live every day from 5 p.m. to 6, you'll notice that I do not have Irvin Hughes with me today. He is coming from out of town, taking care of some business, and has gotten caught up in traffic. And he says he's going to run in here at the last minute like Superman and get on the air, but I have yet to hear from him. So I've asked Stephen K. to plug up his microphone just in case I, for some reason, get at a loss for words. So, Stephen, are you hot over there?
We're doing good.
You sure you don't want to come on this side of the camera?
Then who's going to run all this?
Well, that's true. That is true. There's no autopilot on that thing, yeah?
Not too much.
Well, nonetheless, instead of doing a pre-recorded show, I thought that we would go live. There's some information that I did want to share with our listeners today. You know, when you're in small business, we all get to the point to where we figure that, or we question ourselves. Are we good enough? Are we doing the right things? Do we truly have what it takes? I know that I've been there in my small business. I know that from time to time I get down. I need to reconfirm that I'm going in the right direction, that I'm doing the things necessary to find the level of success that I've set for myself. And there are ways that I do that. However, we're not going to talk about that today. What we're going to talk about are some of the qualities that you should work on possessing as an entrepreneur. You know, so many people say, well, the entrepreneur is responsible for everything. And I agree with that. I agree with you. You are responsible for everything. The buck stops with the owner of that business. And you know, I say all the time on this show that, you know, the entrepreneur has to overcome all obstacles regardless of circumstance. That is your only job description. And there are some qualities that you have to possess, some things that you have to exude in the way that you do business each and every day. And they're not necessarily the things that are taught to us in school. You know, these are some of those non-academic things that we refer to a lot on this show. And what are those qualities? What are those things that I need to possess? Now, you can find all sorts of articles that will tell you, you know, the top 7 things, top 8 things, top 10 things that entrepreneurs need to be focused on, or the top qualities that they should possess in order to be successful. But I've sort of reduced it down to about 4 things, and I want to go through those things with you today. And under these, you got some subheadings. So we're going to talk about those things, and these are sort of in order of importance as it relates to me. Now, I don't have Irvin in here to talk with me today to sort of argue with him back and forth about this. So we're gonna just call this the
Don't worry, I'll argue with you.
Well, we'll call it the John Cruz and Stephen K. Hour. Now, the first thing that I believe that you have to have as an entrepreneur, and this is something that cannot be taught, and it is, and if this is a word, you should write it down. If it's not a word, write it down anyway. Stick-to-itness. That's the first thing.
And that is not a word.
That's not a word. I can't find that in the dictionary.
I actually haven't checked the dictionary.
Okay.
But I don't think that's a word. But it's okay, because talk show hosts make up words all the time.
All the time. And today's word is stick-to-itness. That is the most important quality of an entrepreneur. My mentor shared something with me, and this was at a time in my business where I was wondering if I had what it took, if I was going to be able to persevere to succeed. And be that level of success that I saw for myself. And the thing that he told me was this. He said that the only way that you won't become successful is if one or two things, or one of two things happens. Number one, you either change your mind, or number two, you allow someone else to change your mind. Now, I have to admit that that was probably the single best advice that I had gotten from him, because there were so many days where I thought, you know what, I could just quit this life. I could find me a decent job. I could manage my money. I could put myself on a arithmetic progression and live happily ever after. But I knew deep down inside of me that that's not what I wanted for myself. I wanted to be big. I wanted to do something fantastic. I wanted to change the lives of not only the customers that I serve, but also the people who help me in my organization. And it called for me to be great at that time, and I had to stick to it. And I'm going to say that the most important quality that you can have is sticking to your plan. If you believe that your plan is one of success, if you believe that you're going in the right direction, if you believe that you're in the right industry and this is the right time, then you have to stick to it. There's something to be said about that. Now,
and I'd have to agree with that.
Would you?
Absolutely, because I always tell business owners, entrepreneurs, professionals, anybody I'm talking to or consulting with, I always say, think back to anything in your life that you weren't able to accomplish, that you didn't finish, that you have moved on from. And if you really, really think about the moment of, if you want to call it failure, that you experience, chances are it was when you stopped trying. In some way, shape, or form, something made you stop trying. When I look back on my experience with the hockey rink I owned,
right,
I made a decision to not move forward with that business. I thought we were losing too much money, and we just couldn't afford to do it. Now, there were probably, from what I've learned from then until now over the last 15 years, there were probably 10 or 15 things I could have done to make that business last a little longer.
Wow.
Not saying I could have guaranteed my success, but I know I could have at least extended it.
Yeah. And so did you change your mind, or did somebody else?
So the real question is did the business fail, or did I just give up on it? Because I've been through some hard times in the business I'm in today. And I've gotten through them because I made a decision that I was absolutely, positively not going to quit. That failure was not an option.
And, you know, and that's the mindset that I had to possess as well. So I definitely agree with what you're saying, Steve, because once I made up in my mind that I was not going to stop, the thing that I looked at in my industry, I was in real estate, or in mortgages rather, and I looked at every single month I'm getting the paper, and I'm seeing that there are 5,000 closings this month, and 3,000 refinances. That's 8,000 pieces of business that are floating around every single month. And you mean to tell me that I can't snag 4 or 5 pieces of those enough to be able to take care of myself? It wasn't that the industry was bad. It wasn't that the business was bad. It was that I had to evolve. I had to do something different. I had to figure it out. But figuring it out caused me to have to stick to it. I had to stick with it. And in your business, like I say, the only way that you won't be successful is if one of two things happens. You change your mind, or you allow someone else to change their mind. Now, to me, your success hinges on your ability to stay the course. So whatever it is that you're doing, if you feel that you're in the right industry, believe me, you'll figure out how to do it. Those things will come to you. Now, that's the first quality. The second entrepreneurial quality that I believe that a person has to possess, and it's in this order, is vision. Now, vision has some subcategories under it. Now, when I say vision, what are you really thinking? You're thinking, well, vision to be in business, vision to see far enough down the road. That's partially it. But let's talk about those 3 aspects of vision that I believe that have to be present. One is vision of opportunity. You have to have the foresight to see a business opportunity. Number 2, you have to have product vision, meaning that you see not only the need for your product, but you see the plan in which you want to deliver it. And then technology vision, understanding that technology plays an important role in your business success. I can't think of one business today that does not have an element of technology involved in it, so that that business is more productive in several facets. So those are the three areas of vision that you have to possess. You have to be able to see that opportunity. You have to have product vision. And you have to have the technology vision to make certain that you're operating and running things in accordance to the way it's done by your competitors, if not better.
You know, I love what you said about technology, because I am telling professionals all the time, if you're not up to date on technology, you're almost guaranteeing your failure.
Exactly.
And if you think back to any industry or business that's no longer around, when times have changed, when technology has evolved, it is because that company or industry refused to keep up with the technology that was being placed before it. Look at the railway system.
Okay.
At one point in time, rail was the primary form of public transportation.
That's right.
Now, rail is still around, but for the companies who failed in that industry, they didn't realize that they weren't just railway providers, they were in the transportation industry.
Correct.
And they didn't evolve because another piece of technology came along, and it was called the bus, and it allowed public transportation routes to be decided and moved without the hard infrastructure of rail. So technology changed the industry, and the companies that refused to keep up with it were the ones that went out of business.
And we can give you a dozen examples of companies that did not keep up with technology. Technology is here to stay. Technology is the foundation of how business is done across different types of businesses. So you have to have a technology element to your business. If you're putting together a plan, if you're going to be relevant in the marketplace, what type of technology is going to assist you in bringing your product to market? You're listening to Small Business Today with Cruz and Hughes, which is brought to you by Small Business Today magazine. It is the magazine that is for and about Houston's entrepreneurs. To get your free copy of the publication, all you have to do is go to smallbusinesstodaymagazine.com, put your information in, and we'll send you one each and every month when it's produced. Stay with us. We'll return in just a moment.
Turn up the sales on your website today with anythinginternet.com. Anything Internet will evaluate your website for marketing power, for traffic, for conversion rates. We'll figure out why people buy and why people go away. We'll help you generate the correct traffic that will turn into customers and make you money. Turn the juice up on your website today with anythinginternet.com. Turn your website into a web business. 1-800-686-5986.
Very often, people come to me saying,
Stephen, how do I make radio advertising work?
Or even worse,
we've tried radio ads before and got little to no response.
So how do you make the radio work for you? Well, you could have a clever jingle.
Come buy my stuff. Come buy my stuff.
Or you may act crazy and loud and have an unbeatable offer.
I'll save you cash, I'll save you time, and I'll do it today, guaranteed.
But these techniques may work for some and not for others. The real key to advertising is to go back to basic marketing principles. Target your ideal prospect, make your message clear and concise, and touch the listener by connecting to their needs. Stephen K. Media specializes in radio advertising promotion that effectively broadcasts your company's message, yielding higher response and better results. As an independent agency representing major talk radio stations, we help you negotiate rates and place your ads targeting your ideal prospect. Call us today at 713-278-9109 or visit stephenk.biz. That's 713-278-9109 or email info@stephenk.biz. Are you looking to improve your health and well-being? Have you lost your energy and vitality? Do you wake up feeling 10 years older than you actually are? Looking for a doctor who really listens? Looking for a natural alternative to your chronic health challenge? Dr. Dan Cooney is a chiropractic nutritionist who helps restore your health from the inside out using whole food supplements and specific nutritional counseling. Learn more about Dr. Dan's 7 Pillars of Health on his website, drdancooney.com, or give him a call at 713-295-9358.
Introducing the alternative to heavy news. Now at...
Excuse me, heavy news?
You know, disasters, politics, stock market.
And this alternative is...
Coffee news. It's entertaining stories, famous quotes, and family fun. It's light news. Why it's so light, it's free.
Free?
In restaurants and coffee shops all across Houston. So next time you're waiting in a restaurant, look for coffee news. If they don't have it, tell them to get it by visiting coffeenewshouston.com.
It's light. It's free. It's coffee news.
With my Plantronics Voyager Pro Plus headset, I'm free. for you to talk to you while carrying a laptop bag, holding a cup of coffee, and fishing for my car keys. Now, you may ask me, Jim, is it really necessary to use the phone while doing all these things? And my answer is it really necessary not to? Plantronics Voyager Pro Plus. It's my so comfortable, why wouldn't I use it all day headset.
Get your Voyager Pro Plus at Plantronics.com.
You're listening to Small Business Today. Visit us on the web at cruiseandhughes.com. Here are your hosts, Cruz and Hughes.
Okay, welcome back to the show. If you're watching us at cruiseandhughes.com, you'll notice that we do not have Irvin in the studio today. Irvin is out playing hooky. He had some business to take care of. He said that he was going to come in like a whirlwind and catch the rest of the show, but we have yet to see him. I don't think he's in the building.
And he made me mad, by the way.
Why so?
Because I brought my lunch with me.
Oh, and you can't.
And now I can't eat it.
You got to work. You got to share mic time.
Exactly.
Well, you know that's called. You've been called in to play. You can't sit on the bench today, Steve. Well, now we're talking about the top entrepreneurial qualities. What things must you possess in order to find success in your business? And in the first segment, Stephen and I both covered these two top qualities. Number one was stick-to-itness. You got to be able to stay the course even when times get hard. You got to just stick with it. Keep doing what you're doing, and you'll find that success eventually. Number two is having vision, and you got to have vision in three areas. You got to be able to recognize an opportunity. You got to be able to recognize that your product has viability in the marketplace. And then you got to recognize that it takes some level of technology. There has to be some technology element to what you do to make yourself relevant and competitive. Now, the third quality is business acumen. And this is one of those generic terms that most people sort of assume that we're talking about those things that are taught in business school. And that is somewhat correct, but let's talk about acumen from the standpoint of which I'm referring. Once you have had the vision to recognize what opportunity is, you can see opportunity in something. Now you have to have the vision or foresight to build a bridge to that opportunity. How many times have you heard someone come up with a great idea that does not yet exist, but they don't put any effort towards bringing that to market or bringing that idea or vision to the marketplace? I've even done it. I'm guilty of it. I'll say, you know what someone needs to invent? They need to invent a golf ball that has a microchip in it, and there should be a GPS on my golf cart, so when I hit that ball, that this golf cart can drive me within a foot of my ball. Or that the ball should be able to make some type of beeping sound so that I wouldn't lose 20 golf balls every time I play a round of golf.
That is an actually good idea.
It's a great idea, but to my understanding, it already exists in the UK.
Wow. You know, I was just thinking of this on the way over here. I thought of a great invention.
Let's hear it.
They ought to invent some sort of signaling device that will allow a driver to let another driver know of his intention of turning. It could even
not the signal light.
They could even attach it to your vehicle and make it maybe even standard equipment to where when you wanted to make a left or a right turn, other drivers would know. Oh, wait, this isn't Soapbox Friday.
No, this is not Soapbox Friday. And you know what? And even if they did create something like that, I'm sure users would not use it properly. So
Maybe.
But the bottom line is business acumen. You know, vision is able to see, having the foresight to see the opportunity, see the business opportunity. But the business acumen is the process of building that bridge from where you are to that opportunity, bringing it to market. Now, what do you have to have in order to make that work? Well, yes, you got to have the standard thing like your business plan, but we don't want to get into that. I want to talk a little more about systems. Each and every incredibly successful business has two things present in their business model. Number one, their model is profitable, and number two, it's replicable. So when you bring a system, when you bring a business to market, when you start your company, what you should be doing then, in effect, is working to make certain that not only is your model first profitable, but how can you replicate it? If you really want to be on a wealth progression, you have to be able to produce or reproduce your model in other cities or the markets or the countries. Having one is just not enough. You want this thing to be a fine-tuned machine, and its systems. And there are a lot of small business people, present company included, that did not understand how valuable having a system in place where at 8 o'clock in the morning we open the door, at 8:05 we turn off the alarm, at 8:15 we turn on all the computers. What is that system that I can now show that it's profitable, and then now I can replicate it in other parts of the country? And those are the two things that most wildly successful businesses all have.
I have always said that it actually takes two things to be successful in business, and one is systems and the other is passion. And we can talk about passion a little bit later.
Mm-hmm.
But systems are basically a step-by-step process, a proven formula that if you start it and follow every step along the way, that you will end up with a predictable result.
Absolutely.
And there are so many times in business where we just, and I'm guilty of it as an entrepreneur, that we just fly by the seat of our pants,
Right.
that we're guessing. And at some point in our career, we need to start systemizing what we do for our clients so that it can be replicated by other people.
Well, and I refer to those, Stephen, as the big bang entrepreneurs. They feel like that, in the midst of chaos, all of a sudden order is going to identify itself. And that's just not how life works. I mean, this great planet and this great country did not happen because of an explosion and everything just fell perfectly in line. It was a master plan and execution of that plan. Those are my beliefs, and business is the exact same way.
Well, I think it's the law of probability says that if you put 1,000 monkeys in front of typewriters, one of them will eventually type out Hamlet. But are you going to really wait for that to happen? Or are you going to try to start to plan your success?
You got to teach that monkey Hamlet. So that in lies my point. But let's talk about some of these companies, because as you talk about systems, what comes to mind are companies like Walmart with their supply chain management. There's no way they could be the global behemoth that they've become without their ability to manage their supplies.
One of my favorite books of all time that I read, it's probably been over 20 years ago. My boss gave it to me. One of the very first business books I read as an adult is called Customers for Life, and it's by Carl Sewell, who owns Sewell Cadillac in Dallas, and now he actually has a dealership here in Houston.
Right.
It took him forever to get to Houston. I don't know why. But Customers for Life was all about the systems that they created inside their auto dealership to make sure that their customers had the same experience. And Gerber talks about this in the E-Myth, that when a client walks in, they should have the same experience every time. And the only way to ensure that is by creating a system for any employee to follow so that can actually happen. And another great example is McDonald's.
Absolutely.
And you've used that example on this show before.
Right.
There is a system in place for every procedure, that for every function that you have to do in that business. So a new franchise owner can follow it right down to the fry cook, right down to the cashier. There's a system in place for everything that happens in the business, including the experience that the customers receive.
And if you are in business and you've had some modicum of success, the thing that you should look at doing now is systematizing your business. How were you successful? What had to happen? Put that system in place. Be able to show on paper how you were able to get to that level of profitability. And now, can we replicate that system? Can we open up another branch in another area? Can we bring the right management team in? Systems are the way to get to wealth in small business.
And for the solopreneurs out there, those are the people who start a business by themselves, and it's always focused around them and everything that they do. For solopreneurs out there, if you think that this cannot be done in your business, if you think your business is completely dependent upon you, well, hey, if that's exactly what you want your business to be, I'm not knocking that. I have a business that's primarily focused around me and my personality, and I'm completely content with that. I know there are a lot of service professionals whose business is them, attorneys, CPAs, etc. But if you ever want to take your business to the next level, if you ever want to grow beyond that, when you run out of hours of the day that you have to be able to provide the products or services that you give to your customers and clients, then start to systemize what you do so that you can hand that task, that responsibility, that function off to somebody else, and lo and behold, you will be able to grow beyond just you.
When I was working from home in the mortgage business, I had to put together a system, and that system was I didn't spend time during the day doing those things that did not bring in more business. So, I used the term before, I fished during the day and I cut bait at night. In the daytime, I went out and prospected for business. And at nighttime, I'd put my packages together. I'd do my processing. I'd set up my reports. I'd email and fax documents to lenders. And I still had a system that helped me get to the point to where I can make $20,000 a month as a solopreneur working from home. So, and I think you're saying the exact same thing. Even if you're working by yourself and you're the only person in your organization, you still have to have a system to make that thing go.
Yeah, because then at least you can be as productive and efficient as possible and maximize your own results. And then if you choose to grow beyond that, well, then you actually have something that you can show to somebody else that will allow them to replicate what you're doing and make more money.
Absolutely. We're going to go to break. When we come back, we're going to wrap up and keep talking about the entrepreneurial top qualities that you must possess in the 21st century. You're listening to Small Business Today with Cruz, Hughes, and now Mr. K, which is brought to you by the Lexington Law Firm. When you need credit help, get a free consultation today by calling the Lexington Law Firm at 888-744-7081. Again, that number is 888-744-7081. More in a moment with Cruz and Hughes.
Are you looking to improve your health and well-being? Have you lost your energy and vitality? Do you wake up feeling 10 years older than you actually are? Looking for a doctor who really listens? Looking for a natural alternative to your chronic health challenge? Dr. Dan Cooney is a chiropractic nutritionist who helps restore your health from the inside out using whole food supplements and specific nutritional counseling. Learn more about Dr. Dan's 7 Pillars of Health on his website, drdancooney.com, or give him a call at 713-295-9358.
Introducing the alternative to heavy news. Now at...
Excuse me, heavy news?
You know, disasters, politics, stock market.
And this alternative is...
Coffee news. It's entertaining stories, famous quotes, and family fun. It's light news. Why it's so light, it's free.
Free?
In restaurants and coffee shops all across Houston. So next time you're waiting in a restaurant, look for coffee news. If they don't have it, tell them to get it by visiting coffeenewshouston.com.
It's light. It's free. It's coffee news.
With my Plantronics Voyager Pro Plus headset, I'm free. Free to talk to you while carrying a laptop bag, holding a cup of coffee, and fishing for my car keys. Now, you may ask me, Jim, is it really necessary to use the phone while doing all these things? My answer is it really necessary not to? Plantronics Voyager Pro Plus. It's my so comfortable, why wouldn't I use it all day headset.
Get your Voyager Pro Plus at Plantronics.com.
Turn up the sales on your website today with anythinginternet.com. Anything Internet will evaluate your website for marketing power, for traffic, for conversion rates. We'll figure out why people buy and why people go away. We'll help you generate the correct traffic that will turn into customers and make you money. Turn the juice up on your website today with anythinginternet.com. Turn your website into a web business. 1-800-686-5986.
Very often, people come to me saying,
Stephen, how do I make radio advertising work?
Or even worse,
we've tried radio ads before and got little to no response.
So how do you make the radio work for you? Well, you could have a clever jingle.
Come buy my stuff. Come buy my stuff.
Or you may act crazy and loud and have an unbeatable offer.
I'll save you cash, I'll save you time, and I'll do it today, guaranteed.
But these techniques may work for some and not for others. The real key to advertising is to go back to basic marketing principles. Target your ideal prospect, make your message clear and concise, and touch the listener by connecting to their needs. Stephen K. Media specializes in radio advertising promotion that effectively broadcasts your company's message, yielding higher response and better results. As an independent agency representing major talk radio stations, we help you negotiate rates and place your ads targeting your ideal prospect. Call us today at 713-278-9109 or visit stephenk.biz. That's 713-278-9109 or email info@stephenk.biz.
You're listening to Small Business. You're listening to Small Business Today with Cruz and Hughes. Follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. We're wherever you are.
Okay, if you're watching this show and you're logged into www.cruzandhughes.com, you'll see that my cohort, my partner in crime, my constituent, my brother, Mr. Irvin Hughes, has made it to the show. Irvin, how was your day today, sir?
It was great, man. Beautiful weather out there, and I spent the whole day racing around in it.
And you didn't want to leave it, evidently.
Man, I did want to leave, man. but the Houston traffic didn't want me out of it, man.
Yeah, it gets rough around this time. Yeah, so hey, glad to have you here.
I'm glad to be here. Although, I heard that you recruited Stephen K. to join in the conversation, and what did he do? He talked all kind of trash about it.
You know what? It's not good enough that he should have been happy to be in the game.
Right.
He had to talk about the starter.
Yeah, what is going on with that? I'm like, man. Yeah, come on. Yeah.
See, what Irv doesn't realize, go ahead, say something.
No.
I can just cut him off
I know,
and not have to hear any of his stuff.
Yeah, you don't want to argue with the guy that controls the mic. Lesson learned.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. K.
Thank you.
Guys, we've been talking about entrepreneurial qualities, those top qualities that we've reduced into just a handful, those things that should be ever present in the way that you do business. And these are these common denominators that we see across the lines of all successful people, no matter what industry, no matter what sector that they operate in. Just to recap, number one, they have a high degree of stick-to-itness. They figure it out. They stay with it. They stay with it. They stay with it. Then number two is vision. You got to have 3 degrees of vision. You got to be able to recognize opportunity, have good product awareness, product or service awareness, whatever your business is. And then you got to have a technology element to what you do. And then we talked about business acumen, which is where we left off Irv in the last segment. And we've gotten all the way down. We've talked about opportunity systems, and we're down to constantly learning.
Sure.
One of those things in your business, you have to always be learning. If you didn't get an MBA, so what? Suck it up.
Right.
If you didn't finish high school, so what? Suck it up. If you step out here and you become an entrepreneur, then it is incumbent upon you to continue your learning, honing your skill and your ability to do well as an entrepreneur. And that transcends just being good in whatever your industry is. You got to learn some things about business, financials, taxes, legal issues. You got to be able to speak the language. What do you think?
There's a huge difference, folks, between schooling and education.
Yeah.
And so many people have been to school. And, earlier you talked about talking about people that's gone to business school.
Right.
And they've got these degrees and they've got these things. But here's the thing. I think in that case, John, you've only learned a small degree of all there is to know about all there is to know.
Right.
And quite honestly, a lot of people rely so heavily on their schooling to the point that they never get educated.
Well, it becomes a crutch. Exactly.
They never get educated. Let me tell you what, education happens out on the street. It happens out in the battlefield. So it happens in the boardroom.
It happens in application.
That's exactly right.
I love that.
That's exactly right.
And that calls for action. That means you got to get out there. You got to take some chances. You got to do some things.
That's right.
Now, we talked about on this show once before strengths and weaknesses. And one of the things that you have to do as you're learning, as you're continuously learning as an entrepreneur, you have to know your strengths, know your weaknesses, and play to both. You should be doing things to enhance your strengths.
That's right.
All the while reducing or limiting your weaknesses.
Absolutely.
And enhancing your strengths means that you work on those skills that you are most proficient in. If you have a great air attack, then you should be throwing the ball. If you have a great ground game, then you should be running the ball. But if you're weak somewhere, you should be hiring very well in those areas and making certain that you also hire consultants.
Well, that's exactly right. And not only that, but these folks that you surround yourself with to mitigate your weaknesses, you still need to learn from those folks.
Absolutely.
That's not an excuse or a license for you to just release your responsibility to still learn.
Right.
And that's how I learned a lot of things from a lot of really sharp people. You know, one of the things that I enjoy about being in our business is I'm always around very astute people in their respective areas.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it's like learning how to produce a radio show.
Yeah.
And I don't really know how to do that, but I have learned a few things from Stephen K.
Yeah.
Even though he, you know, when I'm not around, you know, he'll set a bear trap for me. But
that's called job security.
Is that what it is?
Whenever I went on vacation at my job, I always made sure something went wrong and only I could fix.
That's right.
So to that end, though, it doesn't release your obligation to learn. You still need to learn.
Now, let's go down to the last point on business acumen. And
Sure.
This is something that you and I could probably talk for hours on end about. But one of those qualities that has to be, or one of those quivers that has to be in your business acumen is salesmanship.
Oh, boy.
And if you can't sell, man, you know, are you in business?
No.
Now, Herb,
No.
what are your feelings for someone who gets into business, but they know that they're weak in sales?
Yeah, you have to get better at that. You have to. It's not an option. Sales and salesmanship is simply not an option. You are going to have to deal with that. There are a few things that, yeah, you can get you a great sales manager.
Mm-hmm.
You can get you some really experienced sales people.
Mm-hmm.
And still, you're going to find yourself in the position of having to sell them on your business idea, on your concept,
Right.
on your which kind of segues into leadership, really.
It does.
But the truth is, your ability to sell is going to drive your life. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people who will say, well, you know, Steve and John, Irv, I'm in business, but I'm not in sales. Well, I got news for you.
Yeah.
If you're married or have a significant other, you've sold at least one person.
If you have a child that's graduated high school,
You've sold at least one person.
and it was a long-term
I
sale.
think Ross Perot said it best
Let's hear it.
when he said, life is sales, because if you're not selling, you're buying. And if you think about any communication exchange between two people, one person is being sold.
Something.
That's
Absolutely.
right.
It may be an idea, a concept,
Right.
a product, a service.
Yeah.
That somebody's being sold something. You're absolutely right.
Absolutely. I was selling a guy just a few minutes ago out on the West Park Toll.
What were you selling?
I was selling him on the idea that he should not write this ticket. he shouldn't do it.
Did he buy or did you?
Oh, you know me, I'm an old closer, man. I closed the deal.
So no ticket was
No
issued.
ticket.
Man, that's not bad.
Yeah. I told him, I said, listen, I'm a member of the media, you know, and your name is absolutely going to come up because I see your badge. I see your name tag. And you are absolutely going to hear about it. First thing we're going to do is we're going to spray it all over the internet.
Absolutely.
And he said, really? He said, what station? And I said, no, it's Blog Talk Radio. Why did you never heard of Blog Talk Radio? Where have you been?
If you got an Android phone, let me show you how you.
Yeah, exactly, exactly right. I'm the Hughes and cruising Hughes for crying out loud.
Well, you know what? Salesmanship is definitely key. And I want to say, as it relates to business acumen, Irv, I'd almost venture to say that it's probably the most important attribute under business acumen. Because if you don't have money, but you can sell, then you got money. Because
Absolutely.
you can monetize sales and raise the type of money that you need.
Learn how to sell, folks.
Learn how to sell.
It's just not an option.
Let's take this into leadership, as you mentioned here a few minutes ago.
Yeah.
And, you know, what is leadership? Don't think about those academic expressions, those things that come to mind. I'm going to tell you what leadership is, in my opinion.
Okay.
Leadership is setting a high standard in your organization and being the first one to meet that standard.
Absolutely.
So in my organization, if the standard is that we all get in at a certain time, if the standard is we wear a regimented uniform while at work. If
Sure.
the standard is we provide stellar customer service, if the standard is whatever you want to put behind that, as the leader,
right,
it's my opinion that you should first be the very first one to not just meet, but to exceed that standard. When you do that, you set in place a culture in your organization that if Mr. So-and-so or Mrs. So-and-so is doing this each and every day, there's no room for anyone else who doesn't.
That's right.
That's my feeling.
Well, I have to agree with that, John. And here's the thing for the benefit of our listeners out here, and I'm just going to share some experience. My experience has simply been with regard to leadership, is my organization only did about half of what I did right. In other words, if I didn't set a high standard,
gotcha,
then we were going to fail.
Right.
Because I had to be the standard. I had to set the standard and set up a culture where everyone in the organization was trying to get to that level of achievement in all of those areas.
Right.
And what I found is some of my best people only got to about half of what I could do.
Yeah.
So if I lowered my standards at all,
then you're going to lower that ratio.
Then I'm going to lower the whole ratio down with the group.
Which is going to be substandard.
Which is now going to be substandard, meaning now we're going to fail because we're going to fail to perform well enough to compete against our competitors.
And I spent years in corporate management, and I always had one rule. I would never ask an employee to do something that I wasn't willing and able to do myself.
Absolutely.
I totally agree with that. Now, you have some managers who would argue the low side of that, who say that, no, I mean, you do as I say, not as I do. No. And they do things that I particularly don't do. But I truly believe after having been an employee and knowing the types of conversations that we have privately, there's a level of respect that we do not have for those managers who operate under that type of management style.
Right.
And if you want that respect, to me, you got to be willing to do it.
Absolutely. Boy, I tell you what, glad to be back and in studio with my good friends here. You're listening to Small Business Today with Cruz and Hughes. It's brought to you by RingCentral.com. To get RingCentral's virtual PBX for your business, guess what? You can give them a call today at 888-716-5022. Stay with us. The education continues right after this.
Turn up the sales on your website today with anythinginternet.com. Anything Internet will evaluate your website for marketing power, for traffic, for conversion rates. We'll figure out why people buy and why people go away. We'll help you generate the correct traffic that will turn into customers and make you money. Turn the juice up on your website today with anythinginternet.com. Turn your website into a web business. 1-800-686-5986.
Very often, people come to me saying,
Stephen, how do I make radio advertising work?
Or even worse,
we've tried radio ads before and got little to no response.
So how do you make the radio work for you? Well, you could have a clever jingle.
Come buy my stuff. Come buy my stuff.
Or you may act crazy and loud and have an unbeatable offer.
I'll save you cash, I'll save you time, and I'll do it today, guaranteed.
But these techniques may work for some and not for others. The real key to advertising is to go back to basic marketing principles. Target your ideal prospect, make your message clear and concise, and touch the listener by connecting to their needs. Stephen K. Media specializes in radio advertising promotion that effectively broadcasts your company's message, yielding higher response and better results. As an independent agency representing major talk radio stations, we help you negotiate rates and place your ads targeting your ideal prospect. Call us today at 713-278-9109 or visit stephenk.biz. That's 713-278-9109 or email info@stephenk.biz. Are you looking to improve your health and well-being? Have you lost your energy and vitality? Do you wake up feeling 10 years older than you actually are? Looking for a doctor who really listens? Looking for a natural alternative to your chronic health challenge? Dr. Dan Cooney is a chiropractic nutritionist who helps restore your health from the inside out using whole food supplements and specific nutritional counseling. Learn more about Dr. Dan's 7 Pillars of Health on his website, drdancooney.com, or give him a call at 713-295-9358.
Introducing the alternative to heavy news. Now at...
Excuse me, heavy news?
You know, disasters, politics, stock market.
And this alternative is...
Coffee news. It's entertaining stories, famous quotes, and family fun. It's light news. Why it's so light, it's free.
Free?
In restaurants and coffee shops all across Houston. So next time you're waiting in a restaurant, look for Coffee News. If they don't have it, tell them to get it by visiting coffeenewshouston.com.
It's light. It's free. It's Coffee News.
With my Plantronics Voyager Pro Plus headset, I'm free. Free to talk to you while carrying a laptop bag, holding a cup of coffee, and fishing for my car keys. Now, you may ask me, Jim, is it really necessary to use the phone while doing all these things? My answer is it really necessary not to? Plantronics Voyager Pro Plus. It's my so comfortable, why wouldn't I use it all day headset.
It's your Voyager Pro Plus at Plantronics.com.
You're listening to Small Business Today. Visit us on the web at cruiseandhughes.com. Here are your hosts, Cruz and Hughes.
Okay, welcome back to the show. Urban and I are talking about the top entrepreneurial qualities that the successful entrepreneur possesses. If you've missed any part of this show, you can always go back to www.cruiseandhughes.com, click on the Blog Talk Radio link and find our archives, and you can go and find today's show, and it will be titled Top Entrepreneurial Qualities. Now, we left off, we were talking about leadership, and we were under the subcategory, we were in the subcategories.
Right.
And we talked about setting that high standard, you know, that being a leader is first setting that high standard and then being the first one in your organization to meet that standard every day, all day. And then I think that sort of transcends into communication. And I think this is one of those topics that could be either under business acumen, but I think it should be under leadership.
No, it needs to be under leadership because you do need to learn how to communicate with all the different facets of your business and all of the people who are stakeholders in your business. And I've run across a lot of people, John, and perhaps you have too, who have whatever issue in communicating, whether that's written or verbal or nonverbal communication.
Right.
You need to know how to communicate, and you need to know when to communicate.
Can you think of a great leader that did not possess strong communication skills?
No.
And when I'm talking communication, I'm not talking about just, you know, oral skills. I'm talking about oral, written,
all of it.
The unspoken word.
Right.
You know, I mean, how many good leaders? The coach that I played for in high school, he just had a way of just looking from the sidelines.
Right.
And his look said everything that I needed to hear. And he never opened his mouth. And so I can't think of a great leader that does not possess great communication skills.
No, that's exactly right. And I don't know of one either. And quite frankly, if you're in a situation where you're trying to build a business and you feel like your communication skills are not where they need to be, you need to work on that. Because I don't know how you're going to deal with all of the parties in your business and not communicate effectively. I don't know how you're going to do that because there's so many different groups of people that you're going to have to communicate with. You're going to have to deal with employees. You're going to have to deal with investors. You're going to have to deal with bankers. You're going to have to deal with customers. I mean, I don't know how you're going to do it. You got to deal with your management team.
Well, when John asked that question, can you think of any great leaders who didn't know how to communicate? The first person I thought of was King George. They did the movie The King's Speech.
Oh, yeah, I remember
that. What you just said is key. If you don't know how to do it, then you have to learn and teach yourself how to do it.
That's right.
And he forced himself
painstakingly
and got taught how to be an effective communicator on the radio.
And that's an excellent movie. It's an excellent point that you bring up because this is someone who understood the power of communication and worked on that talent or worked to develop a talent that just really wasn't there originally.
Let me tell you how powerful that is to what Stephen is getting at. This guy saved his country.
Yeah.
Because he learned how to communicate with his people.
Right.
And, I mean, you can look at the United States today. Some of the people that will go down in history. You know, I was thinking about Ronald Reagan.
Right.
Has gone down as his presidency. And now he was called literally in history the great communicator.
That's right.
That was his strength.
Yeah. And you know, I'm sorry to cut you off, but I just want to make certain that we put a address on what we're talking about here. And we're talking about your ability to communicate your vision, your plans, your objectives and goals.
Sure.
And you named all of the people in your organization: bankers, investors, suppliers, customers, employees, associates. You have to be able to communicate with each and every one of them. And there is some point in time where the head of the organization has to take control over that communication.
Absolutely.
And you have to be able to communicate those things.
That's exactly right. No doubt about it. Because when you, and especially when there are problems that exist or imminent danger,
Yeah.
you need to be able to communicate decisively. You need to be able to communicate effectively, clearly, as to what those next steps need to be.
Now let's talk a little bit about leadership from the standpoint of bringing a level of cohesiveness to your organization, because leadership can also be described as the ability to encourage others to work in harmony to achieve a common goal.
Right.
So as the leader in your organization, that's truly what you are doing. You are the head coach of that operation.
Sure.
And think about this, as the CEO or as the entrepreneur, you have developed a vision, you've created a plan, and now you must attract and keep talent.
Right.
And encourage that talent to get results.
No doubt.
And that takes a high degree of leadership and the ability to communicate with different people and in different ways.
That's exactly right, because people learn differently.
Yeah.
People hear differently. People see differently.
And they have to be managed differently.
Because of that, they have to be managed differently. And guess what? Consequently, they have to be communicated with differently.
Now, give me an indication in your organization. At what point do you feel that you became an effective communicator?
Yeah, when you're saying at what point in our development, or at what point in my development?
Well, at what point in your development as an entrepreneur?
Yeah.
When did you finally get it?
Yeah, I finally got it after I'd failed twice. Yeah, I finally.
So you knew that was one of the things that either contributed to your failure? Or?
No doubt, because when I started to see people in my organization doing something differently than what we had just discussed, I figured, one person doing it, maybe two people doing it, probably. But after you get a whole group of people and you're getting those same kinds of results, I didn't look at them necessarily to say, okay, I've somehow or another gotten a whole organization of numbskulls.
Yeah.
That's not what I did.
Right.
I said, okay, I'm not effectively communicating to you guys what we need to have happen here.
Yeah.
Because it was the whole organization.
Yeah.
And so for me, I got it on my third try.
Okay.
Yeah.
The last quality that we're going to cover today is resourcefulness. And that's one of those qualities that you have to have as an entrepreneur. And what is resourcefulness? It is it's understanding that the only business that you're in is the problem-solving business. And the bigger the problems that you solve as a leader in your organization, the bigger the paycheck generally is attached to the solving of those problems. Resourcefulness, when I think of resourcefulness, Irv, it's somebody who has the ability to overcome obstacles, get things done, regardless of circumstance.
That's correct.
If you don't possess that as a quality as an entrepreneur, keep your job.
No doubt. Apollo 13. Go rent it.
And tell me why.
Well, because Apollo 13 had an explosion. It was an oxygen tank explosion at that. Problem is now they can't land. They're going to have to turn around and come back. And all these systems are going down. And they're radioing back in the movie, this is down, this is out, this is out. And then there's silence. And there's a poignant part in the movie because now the mission commander comes on literally and says, Apollo, what is working? Tell us about that. And he was able to solve a problem. And guess what? It was the most exciting and successful space mission that was unsuccessful in U.S. history.
Resourcefulness.
So, resourcefulness. That's what we're talking about. You're listening to Small Business Today with Cruz and Hughes. It's brought to you by DirecTV with over 285 channels and NFL Sunday Ticket. Packages start at just $29.99 a month. You can sign up today at 888-344-9296. Folks, stay with us. We're in the home stretch. We'll be right back.
Are you looking to improve your health and well-being? Have you lost your energy and vitality? Do you wake up feeling 10 years older than you actually are? Looking for a doctor who really listens? Looking for a natural alternative to your chronic health challenge? Dr. Dan Cooney is a chiropractic nutritionist who helps restore your health from the inside out using whole food supplements and specific nutritional counseling. Learn more about Dr. Dan's 7 Pillars of Health on his website, drdancooney.com, or give him a call at 713-295-9358.
Introducing the alternative to heavy news. Now at...
Excuse me, heavy news?
You know, disasters, politics, stock market.
And this alternative is...
Coffee news. It's entertaining stories, famous quotes, and family fun. It's light news. Why it's so light, it's free.
Free?
In restaurants and coffee shops all across Houston. So next time you're waiting in a restaurant, look for coffee news. If they don't have it, tell them to get it by visiting coffeenewshouston.com.
It's light. It's free. It's coffee news.
With my Plantronics Voyager Pro Plus headset, I'm free. Free to talk to you while carrying a laptop bag, holding a cup of coffee, and fishing for my car keys. Now, you may ask me, Jim, is it really necessary to use the phone while doing all these things? And my answer is it really necessary not to? Plantronics Voyager Pro Plus. It's my so comfortable, why wouldn't I use it all day headset.
Get your Voyager Pro Plus at Plantronics.com.
Turn up the sales on your website today with anythinginternet.com. Anything Internet will evaluate your website for marketing power, for traffic, for conversion rates. We'll figure out why people buy and why people go away. We'll help you generate the correct traffic that will turn into customers and make you money. Turn the juice up on your website today with anythinginternet.com. Turn your website into a web business. 1-800-686-5986.
Very often, people come to me saying,
Stephen, how do I make radio advertising work?
Or even worse,
We've tried radio ads before and got little to no response.
so how do you make the radio work for you? Well, you could have a clever jingle.
Come buy my stuff.
Come buy my stuff. Or you may act crazy and loud and have an unbeatable offer.
I'll save you cash, I'll save you time, and I'll do it today, guaranteed.
But these techniques may work for some, not for others. The real key to advertising is to go back to basic marketing principles. Target your ideal prospect, make your message clear and concise, and touch the listener by connecting to their needs. Stephen K. Media specializes in radio advertising promotion that effectively broadcasts your company's message, yielding higher response and better results. As an independent agency representing major talk radio stations, we help you negotiate rates and place your ads targeting your ideal prospect. Call us today at 713-278-9109 or visit stephenk.biz. That's 713-278-9109 or email info@stephenk.biz.
You're listening to Small Business Today with Cruz and Hughes. Follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. We're wherever you are.
Okay, welcome back to the show. Irv and I have been talking about the top entrepreneurial qualities that you must possess in order to find success in your small business. Just to give you a recap, we talked about these 5 qualities. Number 1, you got to have stick-to-itness. Number 2, you got to have vision. Number 3, you got to have a high degree of business acumen, and I'm not talking about an MBA or a PhD. Number 4, you got to have leadership, and one of the things that you brought up during the break was courage, and courage is part of leadership. We didn't really give any, we didn't give a stage for courage, but that does have to be there. And then lastly, you got to have resourcefulness, and that is the ability to get things done. That's the ability to solve problems. Your clients, your associates, and the people that you deal with, they want to work with somebody who has the ability to solve problems. And when we talk about some of the obstacles that a person can run into,
sure,
you know, they relate to
people,
yeah,
customers, legal problems. And let me tell you what, folks, we are in a litigious society.
Very much so.
You better learn how to handle some legal problems because you will have them if you're in business.
Just a matter of when.
It's just a matter of when, not if. And then the question of funding. You know, you're going to have some funding issues.
Even if you're a successful business, you're going to have funding.
Especially if you're a successful business, you're going to have some funding issues, because what's going to happen if you got a really successful business, you're going to grow out of your ability at some point, just by the sheer rate of speed of growth,
right?
Out of your ability to finance that growth, and growth costs money.
Absolutely.
And then perhaps what? Last one?
Suppliers. Dealing with the people, getting them to work on your time frame.
Right.
That's another, you know, show in and of itself.
Yeah, absolutely it is.
Guys, I want to thank you for tuning in and listening to today's show, which again is called The Top Entrepreneurial Qualities That You Must Possess to Find Success. I'm John Cruz.
I'm Irv Hughes.
And tomorrow we're going to probably do better about getting here on time. You know, I got to break you down a little bit, Irv.
That's all right,
Only
man.
because I love you.
I can take that, man.
Guys, I want to thank you for tuning in to Small Business Day with Cruz and Hughes. Until tomorrow, we ask that you do a few things for us. Be smart, be successful, and above all else,
be in action.
And Irv and I will see you tomorrow.
Take care.